Are you guys unsure of what Pokemon to go after to get candies and Candy XL to prepare for the future? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys a very comprehensive list of Pokemon that I'm going to share with you guys from all the 18 typings possible, the top 3 Pokemon of each of the typings, and I'm going to share with you guys what I've collected so far and also what to even look out for in the future. Alright, so hi to all of you guys. So yes, there are a total of 18 typings in Pokemon Go, and there are also a lot of Pokemon to look for in the future, especially when the shadow of the variants of those Pokemon comes out in the future. A lot of them will actually become really insanely strong, even stronger than legendary or mythical or even ultra beast Pokemon. So before we go into the list though, there are 4 things I would like to say. First of all, the list will comprise of Pokemon sorting by DPS, alright, damage per second. Why DPS? Is because right now remote rates are still available and you want to dish out the fastest and most amount of damage possible in the shortest amount of time. So hence why I use DPS as the listing as compared to using TDO times DPS. So hence you guys will see a certain difference in maybe other lists or whatsoever. So the second thing is that some of the Pokemon that will be listed down also may not be available right now, but will be available in the future. So take note of that, which I'll mention later on. The third thing is the rankings may also change depending on the moveset of the future Pokemon and also depending on the current Pokemon moveset changes also that may occur without any knowledge to us. So the fourth thing is no Mega, no Legendary, no Mythical, no Ultra Beast will be talked about, or should I say even talked about or listed. Reason for that is because we cannot get multiples of those shadow forms easily as compared to those that we can get from the Team Rocket grants, or maybe in the future from other ways, because in order to get like certain ones that only are hatchable, example like Riolu or even Togetic or Togepi, we cannot I guess fight rocket grunts to actually get those. That's my guess. So that's that, and we're going to go into the list right now. Alright, so like I said, there are a total of 18 typings in the game, so it's going to be a pretty long list, and also there are 3 of each that I would like to talk about. So let's go into the DPS times TDO comprehensive spreadsheet, but take a look at the DPS side. You guys can see that number 1 Pokemon is Pheromosa, which is an Ultra Beast, which we'll not talk about because to get the Shadow Pokemon for that is going to be a very long time. So the number 1 Bug type Pokemon is actually Shadow Volcarona. Alright, so the moves are predicted to be Bug Bite and also Bug Buzz. And then second is actually Shadow Vikavolt. And then third is Shadow Frostmoth. So the thing is, Shadow Volcarona is not available in the game right now, but in the future when it does come, it will actually be in the form of Levister. Then after that Volcarona, which will need 400 candies to evolve. After that, if you take a look at the number 2, which is Vikavolt, is already available in the game. Vikavolt actually evolves from Grubbin, so hence why I'm actually building the Candy XL up for this Pokemon, because right now, if the Shadow form is out, it will actually be the number 1 Bug type in the game. However, the Shadow form ain't out yet, but I'm preparing for it. That's what you guys can do also. For number 3 though, is actually Shadow Frostmoth, which is also not available. The Pokemon that you want to look out in the future is actually Smooth, SMOM. That's the Pokemon that will be really strong as a bug typing Pokemon. So the second typing that we'll look at is the Dark typing. Dark typing Pokemon, for those of you who played really hard during the Dano community day and got yourself a crazy amount of candies and Candy XL, awesome! Because Shadow Hydreigon with Bite and Brutal Swing will be the number 1 Dark typing attacker in the game, even surpassing Shadow Weavile, which is currently the number 1 Dark type attacker. So number 2 is actually Shadow Zoroark, which Zoroark actually comes from Zoro. And Zoro actually is not available yet. Technically speaking, the number 1 Dark type is still a Shadow Weavile, which I'll show you guys over here. Under the list, number 1 Dark type will be Hydreigon, which evolves from Dano to Zoelos and then Hydreigon. The third best Dark type in the future will actually be Shadow Weavile, which evolves from Sneasel. So you guys can actually prepare yourselves Candy XL or whatsoever resources that you need for those. Alright, the next typing that we'll talk about is actually the Dragon typing. The Dragon typing, the number 1 dragon is Shadow Salamence, which is currently available. However, to get Outrage is very difficult. alright, which I'll talk about later on. So the second is actually Shadow Hexorus, third is Shadow Dragapult, which both of those are not available in the game yet, but I would suggest preparing the candies and Candy XL for those two Pokemon if they do come. However, I'm not really too fast about those two Pokemon because Shadow Salamence, since it is stronger and since, to be honest, it's also easier to get the Candy XL right now. We could actually see some Bagons in the wild at times, and even Salamence from raids. It's easier to get than Hexorus Candy XL unless a Community Day comes. The Outrage move is a Community Day move, like I said, and in order to get that move, well, you have to evolve it during the Community Day or an event, and you have to remove Frustration to actually get it, so it's quite hard to get. So for the Dragapult will basically evolve from Drapi to Dracloak and then Dragapult. So you have to wait for that to be out, then wait for the Shadow to be out. So that's going to be a very long wait, but still it's going to lose to Shadow Salamence regardless. Alright, so the next typing that we'll look at is actually the electric typing. So the electric typing, number one is Shadow Electivire, hence why I always mention about Shadow Electivire being used and being talked about. If you guys see this, Shadow Electivire, alright, I've already powered up to level 50. That's the number one electric. And second is actually Shadow Luxray, which Shadow Luxray available from the Rocket Grants, and also the third is actually Shadow Magnezone, which I've also built one up. So the next one is going to be the Fairy typing. So the Fairy typing, the number one is actually Shadow Gardevoir with Charm and Dazzling Gleam, following up with Shadow Hatterena, and then third is Shadow Togekiss. However, only one is available right now, which is the Shadow Gardevoir. Alright, Shadow Gardevoir over here is available. However, the second one isn't available. It looks like that. It evolved from Hatterena to Hatterene. Alright, so that's that. And for Togekiss, well, like I said, it's a baby Pokemon. Not too sure how they're going to release it, but it's going to be the third best Fairy type as a Shadow Pokemon in the future. So the next typing is going to be the Fighting typing. So Fighting typing, the number one will be Shadow Lucario. Same issue that we're going to face as Shadow Togekiss. Not too sure how they're going to release it because it comes from the baby Riolu. And then second is Shadow Conkeldurr, which also will be a bit of a problem because we are not sure how they're going to release it, as this Pokemon Timber is only available from raids or in fact from egg hatching. So the third is actually Shadow Machamp in the future, so hence why I always try and build up those Pokemon Candy XL. As you guys can see, Lucario I've already maxed one up to level 50, and you want to evolve it from Riolu. And then for Conkeldurr, evolves from Timber, Girder, and then Conkeldurr. And then as for Machamp, obviously it's from Machoke, then Machamp. Alright, so those are the ones that I really recommend going after. As for the next typing though, it is the Fire typing. And as for the Fire typing, all three of those ain't available in the game yet. Number one is Shadow Darmanitan, number two is Shadow Blaziken, number three is Shadow Chandelier. However, all those three, the spawns are available, currently, and you can actually prepare yourself the Candy XL for those Pokemon, hence why, I always recommend going after Darmanitan, but to save the Candy XL for the future. Alright, and the second Blaziken also, I'm also preparing for the Shadow Torchic to come, and then prepare for Shadow Blaziken as he will be the number 2 Fire type. But of course, what I would say also is not to just prepare for the number 1, but also to prepare for more, just in case it takes a very long time for the number 1 Fire type or whatever typing to be released. You still have the second best or the third best to use at that point of time, which would probably be the best before the number 1 gets released. So number 3 Fire type is actually Chandelier. Shadow Chandelier, Litwick isn't out yet, so hence, I did power 1 up to level 50. Over here you guys can see Litwick, Lampert, and then Chandelier. So the next typing is the Flying typing. So the Flying typing though, I'm only going to talk about 2 Pokemon. They are actually Honchkrow and Staraptor. The other 2 Pokemon that are shadow on the list is Legendary Pokemon. Whereas if you have a Moltres, of course you can use that. That will be the number 1 Flying type attacker. However, you can't have multiples of that easily as compared to a Shadow Honchkrow or Shadow Staraptor. So Shadow Honchkrow and Shadow Staraptor, Shadow Honchkrow to me is actually the number 2 or maybe number 1 Flying type attacker, but Flying type Mons into useful. So Macro, Shadow Macro, evolving that, you can actually get a Shadow Honchkrow. And then Shadow Staraptor, you also can get it from Shadow Starly, number 3 Flying type attacker. Alright, so that's for Flying typing. Let's go into the next typing, and that is the Ghost typing. So Ghost typing, all 3 of the Shadow Ghosts are not available yet. Number 1 is Shadow AG Slash. You guys might be wondering to yourself, what is Shadow AG Slash? So AG Slash, actually it has 2 forms. One is the Shield form and one is the Blade form. So the Blade form is the one that the attack stat is super duper insanely high. that it does a lot of damage. However, the defense is under 100, so hence it suffers a lot of damage. It becomes like a glassy, super glassy ghost. But as for the shield, the defense actually goes up, but the attack actually drops like crazy. So it evolves from Haunt Edge to Double Blade to Aegislash. So it's not available yet, like I said. The one that is available that you can actually farm and prepare the Candy XL is actually Shadow Gengar. So Gengar is available, and also Litwick for Shadow Chandelier in the future. They are both available. So hence why I put them on the list as the number 2 goals and number 3 goals to go after, especially for Candies and Candy XL. So for Gengar wise, it comes from Ghastly, Haunter, then after that Gengar. So hence why I always trade to get Candy XL for even Ghastly and even Gengar and even Litwick. But Litwick is quite hard to come by. It evolves from Litwick, Lampert, and then Chandelier. So that's that for the goals. Let's go into the next typing, and that is the grass typing. So grass typing, as you guys can see, the number 1 attacker is Katana. Katana is actually a Ultra Beast. Alright, not too sure how is it going to be released or when it's going to be released, but basically we won't talk about it. Number 1 is actually Shadow Rillaboom. Actually, I did not put the Frenzy Plant on it because it is the evolution of the Generation 8 starter Pokemon. So you guys can see it evolved from Grookey to Twerky to Rillaboom. Alright, boom! So if it actually has Frenzy Plant, it will become even more insane. I don't think it will surpass Katana. I might be wrong though. But number 2 is actually Shadow Roserade. Number 3 is Shadow Sceptile, which those two are actually available to farm right now for the Candy XL. So Roserade wise, I've actually prepared for it. It comes from Roselia from Badiou also. And then the next one, which is the other grass typing Pokemon, Sceptile, is also available. So Trico to Grovel to actually Sceptile, that's where you can actually get your Candy XL if you actually catch those and trade with your friends also. So that will be the number 3 best Shadow Pokemon as a grass typing attacker. Alright, so the next typing is going to be the ground typing. The ground typing wise, alright, the number 1 is going to be Shadow Excadrill, following up with Shadow Garchomp, and then number 3 will be Shadow Rhyperior. We're not going to talk about Primal Groudon because you can only have one of those. It's like a Mega, and you need to have Precipice Blade on it, which is the signature move. So not too sure when are all those going to be released, and like I said, you can only technically have one and one only. So yeah, as for the ground typing, like I said, Shadow Excadrill will be number 1, and you can get that from Drillbur, alright, so hence why I actually go after a lot of Excadrills and get the Candy XL for this particular Pokemon. I mean Drillburs, not Excadrill. You can't see Excadrills in the wild. For Garchomp wise, also it'll be the number 2, Shadow ground typing, and then number 3 will be Rhyperior. Of course, Garchomp, for those of you who ain't sure, is actually from Gibo to Gabite and then Garchomp, and then for Rhyperior, it's from Rhyhorn to Rhydon to Rhyperior. Okay, so that's for the ground typing. Let's check out the next typing, and that's the ice typing. So the ice typing is a bit interesting because the number 1 Shadow in the future will be Shadow Galarian Darmanitan. I'm running under the assumption that we cannot have more than one Zen mode Galarian Darmanitan, because if we will have to have a Shadow Galarian Darmanitan Zen mode, it will be truly insane. But you guys can see from the list also, the Shadow Galarian Darmanitan already beats the Zen mode Darmanitan. But I'm pretty confident we can have multiples of that if it's released. Number 2 will actually be Shadow Mamoswine, which is available. Number 3 is actually Shadow Weavile, which is also available. So from the ice typing side, you guys can see over here, I've actually labeled this as number 1 ice because in the future it will come, but the Shadow ain't available yet. Number 2 is actually Shadow Mamoswine, which Shadow Swinub are also available from the Team Rocket grunts also. Number 3 is the Weavile, which I think I didn't put that on the, I didn't label that, but it's fine. You guys should know which it is, the Weavile. Alright, next typing is going to be normal typing. Normal typing is actually only one that I'm going to talk about, Shadow Porygon Z, which is kind of not really useful, but if you guys want to get yourself that, that's the number 1 normal typing with Hyper Beam. Alright, and the next typing I'm going to talk about is actually the poison typing. Poison typing wise, number 1 is Shadow Roserade in the future, following up with Shadow Overkill, and then the third is Shadow Toxicroak. Alright, however, I think Roserade is relatively easy to get in terms of Candies and Candy XL because you see that pretty often in the wild as compared to Quillfish. So hence why I didn't want to bother too much about that particular Pokemon. But yes, it's the same. It's from Badiou and also Roselia, for those of you who forgot. And then Quillfish, like I said, is harder to get the Candies and the Candy XL, but evolves into Overquill. Overquill, Overquill over there. Yeah, it's Overquill, it even shows over there. But I did not even evolve it yet. And then number 3 is actually Toxicroak, which the Shadow form ain't available yet also. So the next typing that we'll talk about is actually going to be the Psychic typing. Psychic typing, of course, everyone knows is Shadow Mewtwo. Alright, Shadow Mewtwo and Mewtwo, they are just basically the strongest. However, if we don't talk about legendaries, what are the best? Well, it's actually Shadow Abra that I would like to talk about. Shadow Abra turning into Shadow Alakazam will actually be the number one Psychic type Pokemon, and then following up with Shadow Espeon, assuming it comes. Alright, so the reason why I'm talking about all these Psychic Pokemon is because, like I said, you can't have multiple of legendaries and whatsoever that easily. So these are some of the options that you can use. As for this also, Metagross, Shadow Metagross with the Psychic type moves will actually be the number 3 best Psychic type Pokemon. Alright, so that's for the Psychic type, and we're going to check out the next typing, and that's the Rock typing. So the Rock typing, number 1 will be Shadow Rampardos, but that's assuming it comes out, and number 2 will be Shadow Rhyperior, number 3 will be Rampardos. Yeah, it's even above of Shadow Tyranitar. But no, we will take as Shadow Tyranitar as number 3. So like I said, checking out over here, first will be Shadow Rampardos, following up with Shadow Rhyperior, and then following up with Shadow Tyranitar. So the Pokemon that you want to go after is Cranidos. Cranidos is the Pokemon that I always try to go after and catch and trade to get guaranteed Candy XL. As for Rhyperior, also Rhyhorn. And then as for Tyranitar, yep, Lavita. Lavita, that's where you want to get your Candy XL from, or even hatch them from 12km X. Alright, that's that for the Rock typing. Let's check out the next typing, and that's the Steel typing. So the Steel typing, the number 1, is actually Shadow Metagross. Okay, following up with Shadow Excadrill and following up with Shadow Bisharp. So there's even a Zacian Crown Shield form. However, we're not talking about that because that's a legendary Pokemon. Alright, so Bullet, Punch, and Meteor Mash are the moves that you really need if you want to use it as the number 1 Steel type attacker. Alright, so this is it. Yep, Bullet Punch and Meteor Mash, the number 1 Steel type attacker. It comes from Beldum. Alright, and then the next one is actually Excadrill again. It's the number 2 Steel typing, but of course I would rather use it as a ground typing since we already have a better one, Shadow Metagross. Alright, the third one is actually not available yet. The Shadow is not available. However, this is how it looks like. Ponyard and Bisharp, you can hatch it from 12km X, but to be honest, I think the Metagross and the other Excadrill really just pulls ahead as compared to this one. So the other typing, the last typing that I'd like to talk about is the Water typing. So for the Water typing, is very interesting. First is Ash Greninja, Bubble, and also Hydro Cannon. However, it's not available yet. And I also would think that to get multiple Ash Greninja is kind of ridiculous because it's kind of like a Mega, it's kind of like another form. So having one on your team probably is going to be the max. So the number 1 Shadow will actually be Shadow Inteleon. So what is Inteleon? Inteleon is actually the Generation 8 third stage evolution water type starter Pokemon. And then there's number 2 is actually Shadow Kingler with Crabhammer. Number 3 is Shadow Crawdad with Crabhammer also. Even beats Shadow Swampert. However, all those 3 Pokemon, the Shadow forms, ain't available yet. So as what we are talking right now, Shadow Swampert is number 1. But in the future, all those will be obsolete, alright? But you guys can see, like I said, number 2 is actually the Shadow Kingler, which I'm preparing Candy XL for the Shadow Kingler in the future. Once that comes out, I can actually power up like a handful already. For Shadow Crawdad yet wise, I'm not really too keen in getting that because I'll rather save up for the Shadow Kingler in the future. So that's it for my entire comprehensive list of Pokemon to actually go after. I know all this thing that I'm sharing with you guys now is like super duper ahead in the future, but I'm just preparing for the future, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years into the future. That's provided we are still playing the game, but all this information are what I actually go ahead and check out and find out to prepare for all this kind of Pokemon, because a lot of people find it like there's nothing to do during certain events, like for example a bug type event, there's nothing to do or whatsoever, or usually when there are no events, there's nothing to do, there's nothing to catch. But on a regular, normal basis, sometimes when I see like Gible or even Bellsprout or even Roselia spawning in the wild, or Mudkip or even Popplio for example, I do catch those Pokemon because I know those Pokemon are like the top, at least top 5 Pokemon when the shadow forms are released in the future. So hence why I prepare for all those Pokemon, despite people thinking that there's nothing to actually grind or actually nothing to catch. Alright, that's also assuming you want to get the resources to power them up to level 50. Alright, so hopefully you guys have gotten a better understanding as to which Pokemon to go after. Hopefully you guys have prepared yourself for the future. Also, if you guys did not, well, you can always start now. And also share this video out with your friends to tell them what to actually go after, because not everyone knows what to go after. A lot of people whom I meet, they are very clueless as to what to go after. But I can tell you for a fact that all these Pokemon in the future, when the Shadow Pokemon are released, they will become the strongest, if not one of the strongest, in the entire game. Alright, so with that said, other than thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode in the next video. Alright, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.